so that they kind of they feel like wood, and they actually get mistaken for wood a lot because they pick up a white patina through the tumbling process. So you can probably see on the top right image, kind of they're a black product, but they kind of have this wood grain like feel that's a product of the layers of the fused deposition, or the fused filament. Another thing we looked at was custom packaging. So the products are puzzles. They hold together well when they're put together, but when you ship them, they tend to fall apart, right? So one of our big challenges, and one thing I didn't realize going into kind of the retail sphere, was just how much consideration and time and effort goes into packaging. So I would ship these things out, and they would show up, and they'd fall apart. They weren't a very nice display. People weren't very happy when they opened up and there was a bear head over here and a bear leg over here. And it kind of looked like they got shipped an animal that had been ripped apart. So the idea we came up with was a vacuum form solution that would kind of you put the animal in, and there's a back to it, and it just gets sealed loosely on the sides. It's not a revolutionary idea, but as a small manufacturer, it was something that took us a while to come around to. Right? It's easy to throw things in a box. Even if it's a nice box, that's a really easy solution. But we eventually came to this solution of the kind of vacuum packaging that holds everything together. So they kind of get, there's a front and a back, and then they're kind of held together with the side U-channel. You can see kind of, so here's the example of the dog, the two sizes. He kind of just slips under, and then the open example on the left of how they fit. This is the dog sitting in the back. So we developed a series of molds for these. If you're familiar with vacuum forming, you'll be familiar with this process. They get stamped before the vacuum form is made, so that the stamp kind of takes on the form of the packaging, and then they're kind of packaged up. The other thing this allows for is, which is nice, is that the vacuum forming, if I just hop back here, they'll stack super easily. So when we're shipping to wholesale, we often we can stack the packaging. Being a puzzle, it gives you a really convenient way to break your products down. So we can ship them extremely compact if we stack all the packaging and break the puzzles down, and as opposed to kind of shipping in the full assembled packaging. So right now we're at about 50 stores, and mostly through the U.S. And a couple in Europe and Asia. They're kind of mostly are in higher end home decor stores. Something like Design Within Reach might be a chain you're familiar with, or they're also at a lot of designer toy stores. So places where you'd see Kid Robot or Medicom. And the idea is to kind of continue to develop the line through a series of more abstract pieces, a series of interchangeable parts, and continue to kind of develop the finishing methods and the design methods for the products. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. And question time. Anyone have questions?
Yep.
I'm just interested to know how much is a piece of block like that?
So the dogs are $70. Yeah.
And single,
Are they printed out of?
Yeah.
They're printed out of PLA. Yeah, and then they're filled to gain extra weight, and then the finishing process. Yeah. So lacquer on the outside. Yeah. One of the things we're struggling with is I kind of walked you through the manufacturing processes. There's a lot of hand manufacturing. So we're kind of straddling the line between new manufacturing and old manufacturing. There's hand sanding, and then our lacquer application process is also by hand. As I mentioned at the beginning, this was a way for me to open an office right out of school, right? And we're constantly looking for ways to make the process more efficient. But this is the manufacturing process right now. Yeah. Any other questions? Yep.
What is the size or the dimension?
So they range, but they're about this big, the bear, and the dog's about this big. So they're about 12 inches tall for the bear and 12 inches long for the dog. Yeah, and they range between 5 pieces and 10 pieces. And I was saying kind of the labor varies by the piece amount. So we're kind of toying with the idea of well, there are a couple directions we'd like to take it. We'd like to make them customizable, but we'd also like to be able to scale up. So kind of molding is one direction, but being able to offer a fully customizable figure. Color is easy, but customizing the form is a little trickier to allow the pieces to kind of still fit together. But we're working on some ideas to get there. Yeah. Yep.
Can you make it in brass or
Yeah, that's another thing that we've been working on. So I mentioned that. So right now everything is PLA, and so it's a relatively inexpensive printing process, and that's why we're using PLA right now. The cost really comes in the finishing processes we're using, but I'd love to look at metals. It's really kind of an economic question, but you certainly could. Yeah, you certainly could. Thanks. Yep.
Ever considered using clear packaging?
I've considered a lot of packaging ideas. There's something about you mean just same process but clear?
Yeah.
There's something, I tested out some clear. The white is really clean. And the thing with the packaging is when they're in stores, so they're in kind of small, mostly boutiques, they're displayed without the packaging. That's one reason I use the white. I'm thinking about a clear packaging with a couple different manufacturing techniques other than forming, but yeah, so far we just use white. Yeah.
Any question? Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
So now we have a break. The break will be until 11:40.